Hey gang, it's Ed here and welcome to my world famous, absolutely the most important book of the year. Who cares about Bill Gates' books? You want to hear about my books of the year, and here I am to present them to you YouTube style for the first time. 2015 books of the year. Here we go. My first book of the year, slightly out of left field, is The Serious Guide to Joke Writing. Yes, you heard me right. The Serious Guide to Joke Writing by Sally Holloway. Now, the thing about this book that I found so awesome, and it was such a fascinating reminder to me to be open-minded, in the sense if there was one thing that I thought was a gift, like you couldn't learn, you couldn't do, was whether you were naturally funny or not. Right? And guess what? It turns out that learning to write a joke is a process. And the processes in this book are absolutely phenomenal. And I don't care who you are, it's, again, the processes that Sally outlined in here into writing a joke means anybody can literally do it. And that to me is fascinating and incredibly freeing. So an honourable mention goes to The Serious Guide to Joke Writing. Another out of left field, but actually really important, is Sean Coyne's book on the story grid. And it's how to edit for fiction. So editing fiction. Now, I don't plan on writing a fiction book. I am not particularly ever going to write a book or indeed edit a book. In fact, I'm uniquely unqualified to do any of those things. But the story grid, I think, is so much more powerful, because if you think about stories for a second, stories impact everywhere, whether it's stories in sales letters, in sales videos, for your online business, in describing a product. The single most effective way to get your message across anywhere is to tell a story. And guess what? Yep, stories are a process too. And I've never seen a book like the story grid just outline that process. It's fascinating reading and really, unique for somebody like me who did not do well in English at all. In fact, I failed English. It is absolutely fascinating to me. And of course, it makes no surprise that former Book of the Year winner Stephen Pressfield, with his War of Art, which was a Book of the Year winner 6 years ago now, unbelievable. The story grid, brilliant honourable mention for this year. On that theme, my next honourable mention is Words for Pictures, which is by Brian Michael Bendis. Now, he has written some of the great comic series of all time. And ever since the iPad came out, I've been reading and buying comics because they've been available digitally. And if you think about a format that gets a story across, it's that story, almost the storyboard nature of comics is so fascinating to me, because when you think about what a video script is, when you think about what a outline for a novel is it anything more than a graphic novel format? And this book is incredibly entertaining, quite modern, just came out this year, and it is fascinating about the business of comics, but also how to construct and put together comics. And there's a reason I've been so fascinated about this, and you'll see a theme this year, because for me, one of the biggest challenges, and honestly, I've been back to the drawing board 4 times this year already, is the 10th challenge, because I'm determined for the 10th challenge to be huge and to be life-changing, to be dramatic for people. And so it's not about the theories, it's not about this particular tactic or that particular tactic. It really is a lot more fundamental than that. And the search that I've been on this year has really come down to understanding and looking for those fundamentals. Bold by Peter Diamandis and Stephen Kotler is an amazing book. And I don't know why, and I feel terrible saying this, is that I'd read a lot of stuff about Peter Diamandis, and I just thought, the guy, he just, for whatever reason, rubbed me the wrong way. And you know me, I'm a love all, serve all type of guy. That all changed when I listened to a podcast earlier in the year. I think it was the Tim Ferriss podcast, where it interviewed Peter, and he was talking about this book. And this book really kicked me into gear this year. It really, and this is, I suppose, what everything that follows in this book of the year 2015, if I was to trace back the genesis, it was really reading this. And it's a very challenging book. As you know, my whole thing, my whole shtick, everything that I talk about is about you creating businesses that are sustainable to your lifestyle. It's not about making the big, huge billion-dollar unicorn business. It's about making that $100,000 and having a lifestyle that's designed around your business. That's why we call it niche style, right? The interesting thing was Bold challenges those assumptions in terms of if there is something that you're truly passionate about, is there a way to take that and make it, as Peter would say, a massive transformational purpose? And for me, when I look at my next decade, that's all about the challenge. How can I get people into a business that is a $100,000 business, which dramatically changes their lives? Now, my challenge is how do I do that at scale, and how do I truly make a difference? Well, this is a fantastic book. Not only is it a fantastic book from an inspiration perspective, but it's also it's very practical. Like the last half of the book, it's got one of the best guides to crowd funding that I've seen in terms of creating a crowdfunding campaign. Keep that in mind when we're thinking the challenge. And it's just really practical as well as inspirational. Really fantastic. So Bold most years would win the book of the year, but like I say, this year it's been a huge year for amazing transformational books. But this is fantastic. One of the great pleasures of 2015 was having Dean Jackson, dear friend, and King of Leisure, here in Melbourne to conduct his quite renowned 3-day workshops, his Breakthrough Blueprint workshop. And it was fantastic to be able to attend it in my hometown. And he mentioned a book which I hadn't read, and I can't believe I didn't, which was this one, Exponential Organizations. Now, it's by Salim Ismail, and he is the head of Singularity University, which coincidentally is the previous highly recommended book, Bold. That is one of Peter's projects. And what's so fantastic about this is, again, it's another incredibly practical book, which I've used with a lot of clients this year, to look at their existing business, particularly for an established business that's in a bit of a rut, to look at how to break through, how to turn it into that exponential, that curve, that hook of a successful business. And this using the key takeaways, I suppose, in this book of the formula that it has is just phenomenal. The ideas and scale philosophy, the MTP, the massive the massive transformational purpose, staff on demand, community and crowd, algorithms, leveraged assets, engagement, and on the ideas side, interfaces, dashboards, experimentation, autonomy, and social. Let's remember that dashboards thing. That's going to come in very handy very shortly. But again, highly recommended this year, Exponential Organizations. Magnificent, interesting book. Now, in a lot of years, this next one would have won Book of the Year. But again, a huge amount of competition. But value proposition design is something I've been talking about, I've been speaking about, I've been using in workshops, I've been using the concepts out of it. It is a marvelous, wonderful book. Not sure that it's the most exciting name of all time, but this is a book that is just, the methodologies that it brings together are just so crucial in terms of understanding customer first, understanding their pains, gains, jobs to be done, minimum viable product, the concept of testing and experimentation. These are fundamental new ways of working, which really, and I've seen this with my private clients this year, have been transformational in terms of changing the way we do business. And again, a lot of it's responsible for the fact that the challenge for Challenge 10 has been delayed, because this book and the ones that follow really forced me to fundamentally look at, if we're to make a real difference with the challenge, if we want to make it incredibly impactful, we need to look at how businesses change. And there's so much fundamental change now. And yeah, I say that every year, but what I mean by that is the traditional formulas of what we've been doing in online business really are tossed out the window because of what's been occurring. And value proposition design is amazing. And now, a lot of these books that I've been recommending, fantastic Kindle, get them digitally. This one, please get the actual hard copy of this book, because it's a bit like a graphic novel in some ways. It's incredibly diagrammatic and visual, which is fantastic for a lot of people. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant book, and highly, highly recommended. And as I say, in a lot of years, it would have won as well. Now, these next two books, In some ways, I have to present them slightly out of order because I truly believe you should read one after the other. So I'm going to talk about them together. And these are effectively, if I had third for books of the years, these would be tied for third, although you have to read one instead of the other. Hey, this is mine. This is my books of the year. I can do this the way I like it. So the one that you need to read first, and to me, incredibly impactful, brilliant book, is Scrum, The Art of Doing Twice the Work in Half the Time. Just literally a life-changing book for me, a life-changing book. You might have noticed in my videos directly behind me, you might have noticed change in my background in the last few months. And it's because this implementation of how to work and how to build a team and how to work with a team and how to work with yourself personally is astounding. And the reason this book was written, see, Scrum is a part of the agile development process, which has been streamlined and created in the software development world. And it really has been dramatic change in the software development world. And when you think about what thing have we seen the most dramatic change, the most incredibly rapid innovation, and of course it's in apps and software. And that is down to agile processes, of which Scrum is the most popular. The reason this book was written though, and the reason it's so readable, because there are literally thousands of books on Scrum, is that Jeff Sutherland, who created and co-founded Scrum, wants Scrum to be applied everywhere. And so he wrote this book so it could be really readable to anybody, and the opportunity to apply these principles in everywhere. You know, for magcasters and scriptcasters, using Scrum to produce your magcast is just phenomenal. It really has. I've been doing this in workshops. I've been doing this with one-on-one clients, and it has literally changed the way I consult. It's changed the way I coach. It's made me get way better results with my clients. It's made my clients get better results. It's been absolutely unadulterated, phenomenal. And literally, in most years, that book would have been Book of the Year, but not this year. The follow-up that, and I would argue to most of you looking at this video, an even more impactful book, but I would read this one first. This one to get the idea, because once you've read this is a brilliant book. And for those of you who are one-person bands, Personal Kanban. Personal Kanban by Jim Benson and Taryn DeMaria Barry takes the principles of Scrum and applies them to the individual, to you personally, one-on-one. I'm currently doing a whole program built around this with people, and the response that people are getting with this is out of this world. I've been making all of my one-on-one clients do a personal Kanban board, just like you see behind me. The results have been dramatic. Absolutely dramatic. Like nothing I've seen since the first lot of challenges all those years ago. And again, you know, you might be a software developer watching this and going like, duh. But for us civilians who don't know Agile and don't know this, it is dramatic. It completely changes the state. And when you look at Bold and you look at exponential organizations, when you look at stories and how that's put together, and you put together the way a business works and you put together value proposition design, you're starting to build a structure for how to go forward in 2016. And that is what has been so exciting. Now, and I can't believe I can't find it. I don't know where it is. So unfortunately, this is it's a post-it note, only because I can't find my book and I'm freaking out, because this is the runner-up for Book of the Year, Super Better by Jane McGonigal. It's the best book I have seen on, and I know the gamification, sorry Dr. Fox, I know people will flip when I call it gamification, because the people who are in gamification hate the phrase gamification, but forgive me, I think most punters when they hear gamification sort of know what I mean. It's this, what's this fundamental philosophy? Why is it when we play a game and get killed, not only do we think, ha, that was funny and that was fun, but we go back for more? Why is it that at one point, 1 in every 10 people in the United States of America spent 2 hours a day working a virtual farm for fake farm bucks, when if they applied those 2 hours each day to building a real business, they could earn real American dollars? How does this happen? Yet, and I contrast this, and I've seen this with thousands of challenges over the past decade, they do the challenge, they start the very first roadblock they hit, or failed experiment, that's it, they're out, they're done. Right, that's it, they're gone. Now, just think about this for a second. If you were playing a game, so you were playing a cool game on your PlayStation 4, and you were playing Destiny, and it would mean the very first, the equivalent of this would be you're playing Destiny, you get killed for the first time, which happens in seconds. At that point, based on the way people act in their real lives with their real businesses, I would grab my PlayStation 4 and literally pelt it through the window. Then I would go downstairs, buy some petrol, go pour the petrol over the PlayStation 4 and light it on fire and never touch it or play it again. Stupid, right? It sounds ridiculous, right? It sounds ridiculous. Yet, that's what happens in the challenge. That's what happens. People hit a technical roadblock, or they hit an experiment which goes bad, or they get stuck on something and that's it. They're gone. Crazy. But here's the challenge. What if we could learn what makes a game so much fun and so effective and makes you want to go back again and again? It doesn't matter whether it's Candy Crush, doesn't matter whether it's Destiny, it doesn't matter what it is, right? Why is it we go back to these I was on level 93 for Candy Crush for 6 damn weeks. 6 weeks. Yet I kept going back. Why? If we could take those lessons and apply those to challenges in our personal life, to challenges in our business, wouldn't that be amazing? Well, guess what? That's what Super Better is all about. And it's an incredibly practical book, amazing book. There's so many wow moments and aha moments and extraordinary impacts. And when you hear like how Candy Crush and Tetris treat post-traumatic stress syndrome better than anything else people have found. What? What are you talking about? Read the book. It is unbelievable. And I've been taking elements of Super Better to apply. And then when you look at, and here's the thing, and this is where reading widely pays off. Because when I read this book and I look at Scrum and I look at personal Kanban, I realize, guess what? What's this board over here? It's a scoreboard. It's the gamification of business, and it's so hilarious to me. Even writing jokes or editing stories or doing comic books. The people who do them well do them in a way that is gameful. Does that mean it's easy? Does that mean it's... Think about most games. Most games are very stressful. Level 93 in Sugar Crush, I'm pretty sure shortened my lifespan by a year, but I kept at it until I got it right, until I've passed that damn thing. And I didn't spend money or I didn't cheat. I had to do it. I did it the old-fashioned way. Why? Why did I do that? Well, Super Better explains it, and that's why it's my runner-up for Book of the Year. Dramatic book. It's the best combination of how gamification and real work, real challenges, real issues, how you can apply it to weight loss, how you can apply it to challenging situations, how you can apply it to business. It's amazing, and I heartily recommend it. And if I don't find my copy very shortly, I'm going to burn this house down to find it. Okay, here we go. Drum roll. Book of the Year 2015. This is not the book because I am going to cheat. Okay, this is a book written by the wonderful Kathy Colby, who was the founder and creator of the Colby Index. Now, this book is fantastic. It's called Powered by Instinct, and it's a really excellent book. Make no mistake whatsoever. Definitely worth a read. However, that's not the Book of the Year. The Book of the Year is actually the Colby Index A test. What, Ed? The Book of the Year is a website test? It is. It truly is. Because if my job here is to get you to do the most impactful thing, and for the cost of an expensive tech book, about whatever it is, $39, $49, Colby Index had the most dramatic impact on my life and my clients' lives of anything that I have ever done. Full stop. And that's why it gets my Book of the Year. And I'm using Powered by Instinct to cheat, to give you the power, to give you what I think is going to be the best thing you could possibly do going into 2016. By doing the Colby Index, there's a couple of core things. Oh, look, I could spend hours on it, and I've actually interviewed David Colby. I'm very excited to announce that Colby will be partners in the Challenge 10, because that's how important and how vital I think this is. So what is the Colby Index? It's not an IQ test or an emotional IQ thing or a personality test or any of those. I hate those things. And the main reason I hate them is I'm terrified of them, because I'm pretty sure they will reveal me for the psychopath that I am. But Colby is not about that. It's about how we take action. What modes of action do we prefer to take? And this is so cool because this doesn't change, right? This is pretty much the way you operated as a teenager and as a kid, you operate as an adult. There is no good or bad results with Colby. As I'm talking here, you are seeing on screen my literal Colby report. This is the report that you get when you do this particular test. Here's the deal. We spend so much of our time trying to work on our weaknesses, okay? Things that we're weak at. For me, it was blog posts. You know, I'm incredibly weak at, when I do a blog post, I've written blog posts that have been literally read by millions. And I try, you know, when I do a good one, it's a good one. But I have to pull teeth to do a good blog post. Whereas doing videos, talking to camera, as you've just figured out, I can talk for days. No problemo. It's just turn the camera and let's go. Well, guess what? I've been doing that since I was a kid. You know, in the days of VHS, I won a state award for my video VHS editing. And remember, I grew up in Beechworth, so I had no editing facilities at all. I had 2 VCRs connected by the old analog ports. And I did a video on I'm Still Standing by Elton John. And I bought 30 Ken dolls. And the whole plot of the video was, and I wish it was somewhere, I have no idea where it is now. But basically, the plot was that Barbie was trying to off-Ken and we blew him up, we shotgunned him, we ran him over with a tractor and plough. We did everything to the poor bugger, literally blew him up, and he kept going, hence I'm still standing. Anyway, I digress. The point is that I've been great at video. Well, great. I'm comfortable with video and have been since I was a kid. I've always acted in plays and loved it. I've spoke to audiences and loved it. I failed English, right? I wrote badly, yet our culture and the way we approach things is typically we've got to work on our weaknesses. We've got to work on the things that we really got to do that to the avoidance of the things that we're actually already good at. And what Kathy pointed out, God bless her, is that that's insane thinking. We need to work on our strengths. And you think about it. In 2015 going to 2016, is there any better time in history to start a business and to find people for literally $5 who can make up for the things that you are weak at? Indeed, the entire Scrum process, the entire personal Kanban weakness is a godsend for people who have my sort of profile, entrepreneurial type profiles. So what does this mean? What does this mean for you? Why am I so passionate about it? It's because, when I was consulting with clients, I recall it vividly. I'd say to a client, because they're in a topic where YouTube would be brilliant for them. And of course, for me, YouTube, no problemo, love it. And I'd say, look, you need to do a YouTube channel. This is what you've got to do. It's going to be fantastic. It's perfect for you. And I could hear the hesitation in their voice, but it was so important and so good, I'd say, let's do it. And they would say, yes, okay, I'll do it. And it was so hard, but because if you looked at their Colby index, doing video like this would be like literally punching themselves in the face. It would be as pleasurable as having somebody coming up and hitting them full force in the face. And that's only a little bit of the insights that you get with a Colby index. You get a feeling for how you work and how you operate. And here's the gift. This is why I think it's so important and why it's the book of the year in 2015. If you do the Colby Index, then all of those books that I talked about, all of a sudden, all the books, all the courses that you do, you approach them from a completely different way. You look at it from the point of view, how do I implement this in a way that's easy, energy easy, and more flowing to me because I'm going with my strengths. You use your strengths. Like I said, there's never been a better time in history for you to access talent across the globe for literally $5, less than a latte, to make up for things that you can't do. For my blog articles now, I take this recording, give it to a journalist who's trained, and guess what, has the Colby profile that loves writing, thinks it's fantastic. And it's like walking, off a log for them. For me, it's walking off a cliff. And then they can do a great article on this, and it's cost me $20. Makes so much more sense to do what you do. And that's why I think the Colby Index, there's plenty of Colby Index, it's the Colby Index A. That's why I'm giving it my book of the year. And as I say, Powered by Instinct is a fabulous book to go with the Colby Index. But it's been a crazy year for me. In some ways it's been one of my toughest years, and it's also without a doubt been one of my best years. And I put it down to discovering early on Colby, and then putting together all these books that I've just taken you through my book journey of 2015, to put together a methodology which I've seen just absolutely change people's businesses and make them so much more incredibly effective and so much better because they're working on the stuff that they know. And then there's a process for conducting their business which suits them, because most of you watching this, who are from the online business world are entrepreneurs, which means you suck as a manager. And just that realization alone, it makes you realize so many other things. And there's answers to all of this, and that's where Scrum and personal Kanban will help you out, where things like the story grid and words into pictures and all of those books that I mentioned. So again, thank you for being part of my 2015. I'm finishing up for the year. You'll hear from me again before the end of the year, but literally my holidays start the very second that Star Wars The Force Awakens starts, 12 midnight, Thursday 17th. I'll be there, and that'll be it for the year for me. But thank you for being part of the YouTube channel. Thank you for being part of the challenge. Thank you for being a client. Thank you for getting my emails. It's deeply appreciated, and I can't wait to share with you some of the things that we've got lined up for 2016, and a lot of it, and particularly Challenge 10, because I think it will radically change the way you approach all of this online business and do it in a way that you're going to love. And let's face it, have fun. Don't forget super better. With that, thanks very much. There's links below the YouTube post here for all of the books. They are Amazon affiliate links. And with all the money that I get there, I promise you I will get myself a bucket of KFC. I can't eat KFC anymore. It's such a shame. It makes me literally violently ill out the other end, if you catch my drift. But I will, in fact, I'll probably use the funds to go see Force Awakens for the 35th time. But I appreciate that. All the links are there. There's a accompanying blog post. You might be seeing this in the Scriptcast. Bless you, you're the future. Or indeed on my Apple TV channel. So with all of that, thank you very much for being part of this. If by some reason you've come across this video and for some unbelievable reason you actually like what you're hearing, hit the subscribe button below and get more of this type of stuff all throughout 2016 and beyond. Because hey, you may be watching this in 2020 if it's still there. And yeah, it's great. All of those books I mentioned, I'm pretty sure they're fun. They're foundational. They really are. So thanks very much, and we'll speak soon.